Hi, my name is Tatsuya Nakamura, and I'm a regular 30-year-old office man. Today, I'd like to talk about my toxic ex-wife and how her selfishness drove her to despair. Let's start at the beginning, which was around 3 years ago. I was leading a pretty droll private life, to be completely honest. My time of being single without a girlfriend had gone on for quite a long time, and I spent most of my free time staring at screens. However, my destination to be as proficient as my colleagues, if not more, at my job was very strong, and thus I never slacked off on my work. I eventually wound up with a decent salary. For real though, your life is nothing but work, 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 it seems. Don't you have anything better to do with your time? Oh, shut up, it's better this way. Saving up for the future is always good, isn't it? I'm completely prepared for dying alone without love. That's another reason why I gotta make lots. It's way too early for you to prepare for dying alone, bro. It's not like you only have a couple of years of work left before you retire to a home. Such was life, until one day a temporary staff member joined our workforce.
Nice to meet you. My name is Kaori Hayama. I hope I can learn many things through this opportunity, and also make many friends.
Thank you for joining us, Miss Kaori. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. This new employee of ours was one Miss Kaori Hayama. She was 23 years old at the time and a very attractive woman. It didn't take very long before all the male employees working there were buzzing with conversation about her. Yo, that Miss Kaori who joined us today, isn't she a sight to see? I don't think I've ever seen a girl more attractive than her. Women working are mostly older women and married spouses, and this angel just drops in out of nowhere to save us all. I mean, if you say so, man. Perhaps she's a little too, stimulating for a virgin like you, Mr. Tatsuya. Who are you calling a virgin, you punk? I wonder who'll be in charge of teaching her the ways of this enterprise. Hear ye, O Lord, allow me the honor of becoming that lucky individual, and as a price to pay for this, I shall give up my wishes to land an ultra-rare item from the capsule toy vendors for the rest of my life! In your dreams, bitch. Such was a conversation we had once, and soon thereafter, I was summoned by my boss. I immediately broke out in a cold sweat, thinking I made a mistake in my work. But no, it was something quite miraculous, actually. I was assigned the position of teaching Miss Hayama what she needed to know about the work around here.
Mr. Nakamura, it's a pleasure to have you help me out. I'll do my best, I promise.
Yes, and I will do my best to teach you. I was quickly head over heels with the angelic Miss Hayama, who was honest, attractive, and above all else, very considerate. But a part of me was very worried. Since I'd strayed far from the path of sensual love affairs, I had absolutely no idea how to slowly turn what we had into something better. And my days of feeling uneasy looked as though they would go on for a long while. But then, destiny stepped in again, granting me the perfect opportunity to take things further. One day, we were out on business together, the two of us. But Miss Hayama fell to the ground because a blister had formed on her foot.
Ouch!
What's wrong?
I'm sorry, Mr. Tatsuya. It seems I got a blister.
Oh dear, that must be painful. All right, sit down here on the bench and stay there for a bit, please. I quickly went to a nearby convenience store and bought some antibacterial ointment and band-aids. Upon my return, I quickly started to care for the blister. Well then, excuse me, Kaori, I'm gonna treat your foot now.
Oh, of course.
I didn't really think anything about it in that moment. I simply knelt, took off her shoe, and lifted up her leg onto the bench. That's when I noticed how bad it was. Her stocking was ripped right where the shoe was. Blood and fluid was leaking from the wound. Ugh, this is a big blister. It must have been painful.
Mr. Tatsuya, I'll take off my stocking for a second, if you don't mind.
Oh shoot, I should have bought some new stockings too. Sorry for not thinking of that.
Oh, please. You've done more than enough already, sir. Actually, I never dreamed you would treat me with such kindness. Forgive me for being so honest, but I'm feeling very nervous right now.
Oh, my poor Miss Hayama. I decided that this was it. This is when I just had to quit being a baby, swallow my fear, gather my courage, and confess my feelings for her. It's not that I'm kind to everyone, you see. I'm only so worried and doing all this for you because it's you, Miss Hayama.
Wait, you don't mean…
I have some other motives. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have to hear these things from a sloppy superior of yours. I disgust even myself at this point. But you see, Miss Hayama, you're very popular among the guys back at work, and I thought I'd never get another chance like this to tell you how I feel about you.
I'm not disgusted in the slightest, Mr. Tatsuya. I'm actually really happy that you feel that way about me.
And that's how my relentless approach bore the most delicious fruit known to mankind, and we exchanged our contact information. And then, after a couple of dates together in private, I gathered up my courage again, this time to confess my love for her, and to ask her to do me the honor of becoming my girlfriend. Miss Hayama gracefully accepted me, and it felt like a dream. We'd officially become a couple. Since then, the relationship was a very definition of perfection. After around 18 months of being together, with her accepting my proposal of marrying me, we tied the knot.
From now on, I'm gonna become one with the home, and I'll do everything I can to support you, okay?
Yeah, thank you, dear. I'll also work my butt off, and I'll make sure you live your life happily. If only that became a reality. You see, the happily married life I'd always dreamed about having never came into being. And now we're back to the present day, 18 months after we first got married. Hey, where are you right now?
What's with the outburst? I'm out with my friends. I told you that this morning.
No, you didn't.
Why do you always want to argue, for God's sake?
And what time do you think it is right now? It's past 11 p.m., you know.
And what's wrong with that? It's not like I'm a schoolgirl with a strict curfew, you know. Or do you really want to control me that much?
Sure, I don't mind it all of us every once in a while. Don't you realize we haven't actually seen each other in 4 whole days?
We haven't? Seriously? Well, I guess all married couples do have times like this.
For the sake of argument, let's say I'm fine with you being out with your friends every night, huh? That doesn't excuse the fact that the laundry's been piling up and that the house is in constant disarray. I have to ask you to do your job as well as you promise. Because I'm keeping my end of the bargain and working my butt off and trying to make you happy.
Wait, hold on. Are we back in the dark ages, when housework was the job of a woman? Lest we forget, mister, we live in the modern 21st century.
Listen here, if you were working too, I wouldn't be saying these things. But your current occupation's a housewife, and I wasn't the one who designated you that job. You did! Have you forgotten what you told me before we got married? That I could trust you with the well-being of the house?
You could help out with that, you know.
Helping you? I'm doing most of the damn work, Kaori! This way of life is so much more demanding than a life alone, you know?
Oh, annoying. So annoying. In any case, I won't be home tonight, so I'll see you soon.
Yup, you guessed it. Kaori hasn't been doing any of the housework and spends her days out gallivanting in the city. I wouldn't have a problem with anything if she was working a job during that time, but basically, all she ever does is go out to drink and wreak havoc with her friends until morning. Finding her collapsed on the couch, drunk and destroyed, when I wake up in the morning to start the day hasn't become a rare thing around here, unfortunately. Plus, the money she uses for all of her partying comes out of my allowance. And she often pesters me that the amount I give her is just not enough. At first, I thought the stress of being inside the house all day every day would eventually get the better of her. So I didn't have any objections to her going to spend some time to let go of that stress. But even I'm human, and all humans have limits, one way or another. We aren't even a married couple with both parties working, and we're living our lives incommunicado. Of course, we don't have any children either. At this point, you can't blame me for starting to wonder why I even married her in the first place. I swear the number of times I'd heaved sighs of hopelessness and despair had quadrupled within a year. However, my already far from ideal life as a married man was about to go downhill even more treacherously. It all began when I was assigned some work outside the city, and so I had to go on a business trip. I'd already left the house, but my flight had been suspended due to a very sudden typhoon, and negotiating with my company, it was decided that my business trip would be postponed another week or so. I then hired a taxi to take me home, and then everything went cataclysmic as soon as I opened the door to my front house. I'm home! Kaori, dear, are you here? No reply from anyone whatsoever. Kaori was still in the house when I left for the airport, but I guess she just went out to party again. Ah, boy. Well, I suppose she just couldn't let this amazing opportunity go to waste. I was going to be gone for 4 nights after all. Maybe she even went off on a short cruise somewhere for that matter. I was saying to myself as I approached the door to my bedroom because I wanted to change into more comfortable clothes, and when I opened the door…
Hang on!
Heyo! To my great shock, Kaori was inside. And did I mention she was naked, in bed, doing the dance with no pants, no doubt, with a young man I'd never seen before? It was Armageddon, and nothing less than that. But I remained extremely calm and cool-headed. I calmly took out my phone from my pocket and started taking a bunch of snapshots of this gruesome scene.
Hey! Just what do you think you're doing?
What does it look like, darling? I'm gathering evidence, obviously. Go on, then. How about you continue with your little dance of love?
I can't believe this!
You think you can't believe this? You two can't be any more incredulous! To be frank, a part of me had always known something like this would go down someday soon. After all, we hadn't done anything like that ever since we got married. In a nutshell, we never had sex. And although we were officially married, Kaori had done nothing but drinking, dining, and destroying my love and trust for her. This led me to have the mentality of not thinking of her actions in the slightest, even if she was actively one or more young men into her bed. In any case, we have a lot to talk about. So why don't you two get dressed and get down into the living room? I started making my way downstairs before them. And then the young man sprinted out the door before I did and quickly made for the front door. Now hold on, mister! If I didn't know the identity of this man, I couldn't demand any compensation for him. So I quickly went into beast mode and barreled down after him, eager to tackle him to the ground and give him a goddamn nosebleed. He was in my reach, right at the top of the stairs, a couple steps down. I started to descend them too, when… Ha! The wooden steps were wet and slippery because I'd walked up the stairs right after getting home in that damn typhoon outside. The force of my charging forward made me slip on one of the puddles, lost my balance, and plummeted down the stairs. Ah! I was running pretty fast, and the force of the impact upon hitting the ground sent a large shockwave throughout my body, and lay on the floor, stunned and broken. It apparently hit my head too, because my vision was slowly turning back. I just heard the news over the telephone, dude! You're in hospital? Are you okay, man? Yeah, I'm okay. I got a broken arm and leg. Looks like I'm leaving the hospital in about a month. I see. That's pretty rough, buddy. And, you left me a message saying you wanted to see me? What's the matter? I do, and if I wasn't in this sticky situation, I'd hightail it over to your place right now. But I also can't wait a whole month before we can get down to business. I got you, bro. Don't worry. I'll head over tonight. You got anything you want? If you insist. I like some underwear, socks, and new clothes. Just random stuff will be more than enough. I'll pay you back, of course. Yeah, I could do that for sure. What about your wife, dude? Shouldn't you look to her for stuff like this? Actually, that's precisely why I want to talk to you. I'm set on divorcing Kaori. I see. I think I understand a good deal more now. Looks like this particular talk will become a pretty complicated one, huh? I gotta say. Yeah, very complicated. I fear I need your help, man. Could you do me this huge favor? The person who I sent a message is an old friend of mine from college, Somya. As I mentioned in that DM conversation you just witnessed, I'm in the hospital right now. My left arm and leg are both broken and I can't move an inch from where I lay. Right when a man was already down because his own wife cheated on him right in front of his eyes, but then destiny just had to kick him with stupid fractures, rendering him motionless and helpless. One could legitimately laugh at how unlucky one could get. And even when I was in this miserable state, Kaori never once showed herself to me. Well, I suppose her calling the ambulance was the kindest she'd ever been in this marriage. But in any case, I didn't want her to see me because I wanted her to take care of me. Or do anything she could to make me get better. Of course, it was to talk about the fact she'd been cheating on me. However, she never showed herself. Not that I expected her to. But I nonetheless tried contacting her multiple times. Hey, answer the stupid phone! You know you can run wherever you want, but you can never hide.
Oh, sorry. I was just busy with something.
Busy? Still off gallivanting with playboys during this time of disaster, are we? You know we have something much more important to talk about.
Yeah. You want a divorce, right? I got it. You'll get that divorce.
Not even a single word of a sincere apology, huh? Well, no matter. In any case, if you do consent to this divorce, there's still lots of things we need to discuss. So hurry up and get your sorry ass over here.
You'll have to excuse me, sir, but do you think you could wait about 3 weeks?
Eh? This isn't the time for stupid jokes, Kaori.
There's nothing left to hide, so I'll just be honest with you. I'm actually about to go on a trip with Ryusei. I'm at the airport waiting for my flight right as we speak.
Ryusei? Is that the guy I found you with in bed?
Yep, that's the guy. He's been pestering me forever about going on a trip abroad, and we were really busy up until yesterday, getting ready, packing, going shopping for stuff, getting new passports, etc. So, I guess the talking will have to be when I come back home.
So, she's always been this much of a slimebag. I just couldn't be angry anymore. What replaced the fury was nothing but regret. To think that I was obsessed with such a low-life crackhead of a woman once upon a time made me so disgusted with myself I wanted to throw up. My mind was still intent on divorcing her. But my gut told me that it wouldn't be enough. I had to make them both pay a heavy price for what they did. Especially Kaori, since she'd been at this for at least a year. I decided I would be merciless, cruel, inhumane because they deserved it. That's why I contacted Somya for help. I'm sorry I came so late. Soumya, bro, thanks so much for coming. Here you go. I brought you lots of stuff, including the clothes you asked for. A whole month in the hospital. I'm sure you're about to spend the most boring hours of your life restrained in here. Oh wow, you're my guardian angel, bro, for real. Thanks for everything. He was so kind as to see me during his schedule and bring me lots of things. I then went on telling him everything that had happened, every single detail, and how I wanted to make them pay for their treachery. I see. I know why you called me, because you can't find anyone better for this alleyway. All right then, you leave everything to me. I'll get things prepared for you quickly. Do what you can, man, please. I don't care about the price, just please make sure everything's perfect to get back at them. You can count on me, man. I'm so fed up with soulless scumbags like these people myself. I'll make sure you'll be satisfied with the final outcome. And that's how my revenge story began, with Soumya as my right-hand man, and I was gonna crush them.
My name is Kaori. I'm 26 years old, and I currently live as a housewife. Well, maybe for now, but I don't think this is going to last much longer, honestly. Why, you ask? Well, to tell you the truth, my husband found out I'd been having an affair with someone else. I thought he'd be gone on a business trip, only to come back home for some stupid reason and caught me and Ryusei right in the middle of our acts of love. Things had gotten pretty tedious all of a sudden, I thought, but now I was finally sure I'd be able to divorce him and be with my Ryusei. From the beginning, the only reason why I even married him in the first place was because I was after his money. From an objective point of view, he isn't exactly an attractive guy. His skills in conversation were nowhere near adequate, and while his apartment was nice and expensive, I admit, it wasn't exactly the very luxurious apartment I thought he had. But I instantly knew he was after me, so I thought I would do him the favor of marrying him. But I'd essentially be marrying the ATM. And yet, he pesters me about doing the housework, coming home earlier, and other kinds of annoying favors for me to do for him. That's why I laughed so friggin' hard when he fell down the stairs running after my Ryusei and getting himself seriously injured. He was happy as can be when I accepted his proposal and actually married him, and so he should have stayed. But no, he just had to go on lecturing about how doing the housework was crucial and so on and so forth. If you don't think we'd be at each other's throats because of his arrogance, then you're just as stupid as he is. In any case, the divorce was now set in stone, and since he found out I was having an affair, I'm sure he's going to demand for compensation and damages. But that's absolutely no problem, because we have more than $20 million stashed away safely. We own the apartment where we call home, and we also have lots of expensive pieces of furniture and stuff like that. Even if he demanded compensation, my demands for splitting his fortune would wildly outweigh any conceivable sum he would demand, and thus, it won't be a problem at all. I welcome the divorce with arms open wide, honestly. And then, when everything blows over, I'll finally have the freedom to be with my Ryusei, and we'll do so many fun things together. Oh, yes, how could I forget? Ryusei is my true boyfriend. He's young and handsome and just the friggin' perfect guy for me. After such an amazing 3-week trip abroad with him, we came back to Japan. We did so many things and spent so much money. Even an oil tycoon would raise his eyebrows in how much we'd circulated the economy. Tremble in disbelief at the enormous credit charges that are coming next month, darling, and pay them for me, fair and square, okay? He's probably still drooling in the hospital anyway, so I'll just pack up my things and get the hell out of this nightmare. Since Tatsuya was still preoccupied, Ryusei tagged along with me to help out with getting me ready. Hang on, the key doesn't work.
Wait, are you sure? Should we call a locksmith? The lock to the front door simply won't accept the actual key to the apartment. I cocked head, wondering why something like this could happen. Ah, so you finally returned! I thought it would be around this time.
Oh, it's you, Mr. Soumya. You're a friend of my husband's.
Yes, indeed. I'm Tetsuya's friend. However, I'm afraid I didn't stop by your place with your friend today.
What do you mean by that, sir?
Actually, I'm an accomplished lawyer, you see. And I've come today on business on behalf of one Mr. Tetsuya Nakamura.
I do want to talk things over with you in detail, but unfortunately, my key doesn't seem to work with my front door right now. I was just about to call a locksmith, actually.
I suggest you not do that, ma'am. It'll do you no good.
Why's that? It's my house, after all.
I'm afraid this apartment is no longer in your possession, ma'am.
Wait, what? Explain what you mean by that.
Mr. Tatsuya sold it, you see?
What the hell? He can't do something like that. This apartment belongs to both parties of a married couple, you know. That means he doesn't have the right to sell it without my consent. Don't you go about thinking I'm some working-class woman who doesn't know anything about the law. I know one or two important things.
You seem to be mistaken about what's known as marital property. What this property legally is what the married couple have built together after the marriage. This apartment building was purchased by Mr. Tatsuya before he married you, ma'am, and thus it cannot be applicable as marital property. Mr. Tatsuya has always had the sole rights to it, and he's used them in his best interest without ever bending or breaking the law.
Ugh! And this was actually true. I never knew there would be rules to this degree. The law must have been more intricate than I thought. He went on, piling on more destruction onto me, even though I was already motionless in shock over this discovery.
And by the way, the 20 million yen present in the joint account of you and Mr. Tatsuya also is not applicable, unfortunately.
You can't be serious.
That money is a culmination of what my client has accumulated over the years through his job, and of his father's wedding present to him as his congratulations. Therefore, I'm afraid not a single coin of this money belongs to you, Miss Kaori.
God damn it! That cruel scumbag! How could he do this to me? But wait, hang on a second. Inside the house, there's some items of fashion and other accessories from famous brands, weren't there? What happened to those?
About that particular matter, you've been spending a gargantuan amount of money as tribute this gigolo that stands beside you, known to some as Mr. Ryuzaki, am I correct?
That's...
Additionally, the money used to pay for such tribute was retracted from the aforementioned bank account now, was it not? The total had gone down by around 8 million after all, and Mr. Tatsuya denied ever spending that much money. Who else to look to for answers? Furthermore, the total had been decreasing up until a few days ago, which meant that you were also spending that money on your trip abroad, were you not?
What's all this got to do with anything?
As I previously stated, the account in question is not applicable as marital property. And the legal conclusion my associates and I have come to is that you've been using another individual's money without his consent. We've consulted an appraiser, and the branded items and accessories that belong to you were looked at thoroughly and professionally. We're now certain, even in the event that you sold them all off for your original price, it is not possible to compensate for the fantastic sum of 8 million in full. In short, my client will be demanding compensation for your affair with this gentleman, in addition to the damages resulting from multiple excessive purchases.
Now hold on, not so fast. Allow me to speak to my husband in person at least. It isn't fair to go on in this manner without discussing things first. Surely you understand.
And I wonder where that idiot wife of his had refused to talk things over immediately and ran off on an extravagant cruise with her fellow adulterer has gone, pray tell.
Ugh!
Mr. Tatsuya is fully recovered from his injuries, is out of hospital and now lives in another place, the address of which will remain classified per his request. I solemnly promise on my badge to pass everything you wish to say to him onto him in full, but you will never be meeting him in person again.
This can't be happening. Where can I even go?
Oh yes, my client will also be demanding compensation from you since you took part in his wife's affair. I suggest you prepare for that, sir. But no! A word of advice, hire a good lawyer. Assuming you can, of course. Samya, bro, thanks for everything, from start to finish. I don't know what else to say. Oh, shut up! All I ever did was do my job. Just like I do for any other client. But for real though, it was so satisfying that you let me listen to everything that was said during your meeting with the two traitors. I was trying so hard not to laugh the whole time, bro. I knew you wouldn't want to wait in silence while I did all the dirty work for you. Yep, you guessed it. Samya did me the kindness of allowing me to listen to the whole transaction, legal stuff and all, over the phone. My only regret is that I wasn't able to see the hopelessness dawn on their faces. That would have been priceless. According to Samya's rather exquisite description, they both stood there like statues of marble, pale as mozzarella, hard as stone, and definitely cold to the touch. In the end, Kaori was left with nothing but her sins, my heavy demands to pay for what she'd done. All the branded things she'd brought over time could only amount to around $1.5 million, compared to the $8 million she'd spent. It was like comparing a Chihuahua to a Mastiff. The remaining $6.5 million combined with an additional $3 million in damages for affair and for the damages and excessive purchases, the total amounted to almost 10 million yen. And I additionally demanded another $2 million from Ryusei, a partner in crime. Apparently, Ryusei has been involved in legal trouble with women before, and he was thoroughly warned of being dismissed from his job if he got in trouble again. He negotiated and came to terms with me remaining quiet, on the condition that he pays her 2 million yen all in one payment. If it was up to me, I wanted him to experience hell at its finest, enough so that he'd walk the streets homeless and penniless, but then he wouldn't be able to pay the compensation and the situation would backfire. So I swallowed my pride and agreed. However, Ryuso continued to be manipulated by Kaori, and in the end, he was left with no other choice but to quit his job. No one knows where he is currently. Meanwhile, Kaori lost everything. She only had her gargantuan debts to keep her company. I demanded that she pay the money in one payment too, and she had no choice but to resort to loaning money from a consumer credit company to pay it all.
And now for the news. Miss Kaori Hayama, a woman in her late 20s without any known address and without any form of occupation, has been arrested for attempted murder of a man, a former host of an exquisite bar in downtown Tokyo. The man was identified as a Mr. Ryusi Izaki, and Miss Hayama was caught in an act of assaulting him. Mr. Izaki is now in critical condition after getting stabbed in the back with a knife, and whether he is conscious or not is still a matter of uncertainty. Authorities are currently investigating the crime, and Miss Hayama is under interrogation to provide a motive for it.
Wait, huh? To my great shock, the relationship of Kaori and Ryusi ended with a bang, or more precisely, a thrust of the knife. I never thought they would plunge into despair this much, and even I have to admit I was shell-shocked. Somya called me to offer some consolation. Hey, did you watch the news, bro? I did. The fact that I was once married to this monster, that will forever be known as the lowest point in my whole goddamn life. You know it was never your fault, but now you've got to pull it all together and find someone new to love. That's much easier said than done, buddy. I don't know if I can trust a woman anymore. Well, in any case, you need some time away from the nightmare and forget all about it. How about a drink tonight? Sounds awesome. I'm so glad I have you as my wingman, bro. Thanks again for everything. The only silver lining of this whole saga was that I'd find myself a lifelong friend whom I can trust with my life. In the event Somya gets into some trouble of his own, I promise I'll do everything in my power to help him out. But still, I kind of want to stay away from any business with sensual affairs, honestly.